飞鸽制作飞鸽文学《三国演义》，以将军之英雄，东吴之险故，操未必便能得志也。二人互相争辩，孔明只袖手冷笑。瑜曰：先生何故审笑？孔明曰：谅不笑别人。
Feiga production at Feiga literature, the romance of the Three Kingdoms, uses the hero of the general Su Chao to be dangerous and solid, but he may not be able to succeed. The two argued with each other, but Kong Ming just smiled and sneered. You said, why are you laughing, sir? Kong Ming said, if you are bright, don't laugh at others.
孝子敬不识时务耳，素曰：先生如何反笑我不识时务？孔明曰：公瑾逐意欲降操，甚为合理。瑜曰：孔明乃识时务之士。
Laughing Zijing said with a solemn ear, Why do you laugh at me for not knowing the current affairs? Kong Ming said, It is very reasonable for Gong Jinju to want to lower Cao Cao. You said, Kong Ming is a man who knows the current affairs.
必与吾有同心，素曰：孔明，你也如何说此？孔明曰：操极善用兵，天下莫敢当。项只有吕布、袁绍、袁术、刘表敢与对敌。
You must agree with me. And Su said, Kong Ming, what do you think of this? Kong Ming said, Chao is extremely good at using troops, and no one in the world dares to match him. Only Lu Bu, Yuan Shao, Yuan Shu, and Lu Biao dared to fight against the enemy.
今庶人皆被操灭，天下无人矣。独有刘豫州不识时务，强与争衡，今孤身江夏，存亡未保。将军绝技降曹，可以保妻子，可以全富贵，国祚迁移。
Nowadays, several people have been killed and there is no one left in the world. Lu Yuzhou is the only one who does not understand current affairs and competes with others for balance. Now he is alone in Jiangxia, and his survival is not guaranteed. The general is determined to surrender to Cao Cao, so that he can protect his wife and become rich. Guizhou migrated.
父知天命，何足惜哉？鲁肃大怒曰：汝教吾主屈膝受辱于国贼乎？孔明曰：余有一计，并不劳牵羊担酒，纳土献印，亦不须亲自渡江。
What a pity it is to pay the fate. Lu Su was furious and said, You taught my lord to bend his knees and be humiliated by a national traitor. Kong Ming said, The fool has a plan. He does not have to work hard to lead sheep, carry wine, collect soil and offer seals. He does not need to cross the river himself.
只需遣一介之使偏舟送2个人到江上。操亦得此2人，100万之众，皆卸甲卷旗而退矣。余曰： 用何二人可退操兵？孔明曰
Just send a messenger to send 2 people to the river in a small boat. As soon as Cao Cao found these 2 people, millions of people took off their armor and rolled up their flags and retreated. You said, who can use 2 people to withdraw the troops? Kong Ming said.
「江东去此2人如大木漂一叶，太仓减一粟耳。而操得之，必大喜而去。”余又问：“果用何二人？”孔明曰：“亮居隆中时。”
When you go to the east of the Yangtze River, these 2 people are like a leaf floating on a big tree, and a millet is missing from Taicang. If you can do it, you will leave with great joy. You asked again, what are the 2 people for? Kong Ming said, when Liang was in Longzhong.
"即文操于漳河新造一台，名曰铜雀，极其壮丽，广选天下美女以示其中。操本好色之徒，久闻江东乔公有2女，长曰大乔，次曰小乔。”
I heard that Cao Cao had built a new one in Zhanghe called the Bronze Bird, which was extremely magnificent. He selected beauties from all over the world to be one of them. Cao Cao, who is a lustful person, has long heard that Mr. Qiao from Jiangdong has 2 daughters. The eldest is called De Qiao, and the second is called Xiao Qiao. "
有沉鱼落雁之容，闭月羞花之貌。操曾发誓曰：吾一愿扫平四海，以成帝业；一愿得江东2乔，置之铜雀台，以乐晚年，虽死无恨矣。”
He has the appearance of a fish sinking and a geese falling, and the moon is closed and the flowers are shy. Qiao once swore, I am willing to conquer the world and become an emperor. I am willing to acquire 2 buildings in the east of the Yangtze River and build them on bronze bird towers so that I can enjoy my old age and have no regrets even if I die.
今虽引100万之众虎视江南，其实为此2女也。将军何不去寻乔公，以千金买此2女，差人送与曹操？操得2女，称心满意，必班师矣。
Although millions of people are now looking at Jiangnan, it is actually because of these 2 women. Why don't the general go to find Duke Qiao, buy these 2 girls for 1,000 gold, and send them to Cao Cao?
此犯离县西施之计，何不速为之？曰：操欲得2乔，有何正验？孔明曰：曹操幼子曹植，字子建，下笔成文。操常命作一赋。
Why didn't Fan Li do this quickly? You said, if you want to win 2 wives, what proof is there? Kong Ming said, Cao Ji, the youngest son of Cao Cao, whose courtesy name was Zijian, wrote the book. Make a fortune based on your destiny.
名曰铜雀台赋，赋中之意。单道他家何为天子，是取二乔。余曰：此赋功能记否？孔明曰：吾爱其文华美，常切记之。余曰：
It is called Tonkatai Fu, and the meaning in the poem is that the single family will become the emperor and he will take Tu Qiao. You said, can I remember this Fu? Kong Ming said, I love its literary beauty, so I will try to remember it secretly. You said,
事情一宋，孔明及时诵铜雀台赋，云：从明后以西游西，登层台以娱情。见太傅之广开兮，关圣德之所营；见高门之嵯峨兮。
Please ask Kong Ming to recite the Ode to the Bronze Bird Terrace at once. Since the Ming Dynasty, I have traveled around and climbed to the terrace to entertain myself. See the vastness of the Taifu. See the camp of Xingda. Build a high gate. It's so shaky.
"扶霜缺乎太清丽，中天之华冠兮，连飞阁乎西城。临漳水之长流兮，望远果之姿容。立双台于左右兮，有玉龙与金凤。揽二乔于东南兮。"
The floating double Ks are as tall as the Taiching erected in the middle of the sky, and the flying pavilions are as close as the West City. The water in Linjiang flows long, and the fruits in the garden are flourishing. There are 2 platforms on the left and right, with jade dragons and golden phoenixes. Take Tu Qiao to the southeast.
"乐朝夕之与共抚黄兜之红丽兮，看云霞之浮动。新群才之来翠兮，携飞熊之极梦。养春风之和睦兮，听百鸟之悲鸣。天云元其寂丽兮。"
Enjoy spending the day and night together overlooking the majesty of the imperial capital and the floating clouds. It is a blessing to welcome the talented people who have come together to share the auspicious dream of flying bears. Look up to the gentle spring breeze and listen to the mournful chirping of hundreds of birds. The sky and clouds are now standing.
"家愿得乎双逞洋人化于宇宙兮，尽肃公于上京。惟桓文之为圣兮，岂足方乎圣明？修矣，美矣。惠则远扬，亦佐我皇家兮，宁比四方。"
My family wishes that both of us can show off our benevolence and spread it to the universe, and be respectful to everyone in Shangjing. But Huan Wen is so prosperous, how can he be compared to the sage? Stop it. So beautiful. Benefit far and wide. I am a royal winger, and I would rather be in all directions.
"同天地之归亮兮，其日月之辉光。永贵尊而无极兮， 等均授于东皇。玉龙其以遨游兮，回銮驾而周章。恩化极乎四海兮，家务富而民康。
The rules of the sky and the earth are the same as the brilliance of the sun and the moon. You are forever noble and noble, waiting for you to live as long as the Eastern Emperor. The Yulong banner is flying around, and the Huilwan is flying around. The blessing reaches all over the world, and the good things are prosperous and the people are prosperous.
愿四台之永固希乐钟鼓而未央。周瑜听罢，勃然大怒，离座直北而骂曰：“老贼欺吾太甚！”孔明即起止之曰：“西单于吕钦将界。”
May the joy of Si Tai be forever and everlasting. After Zhou Yu heard this, he became furious. He left his seat and pointed north, cursing, "Old thief, you have bullied me too much." Kong Ming started to stop and said, "In the past, Shan Yu repeatedly invaded the territory.
"汉天子许以公主和亲，今河西民间二女乎？"瑜曰："公有所不知，大乔是孙伯符将军主妇，小乔乃瑜之妻也。"孔明佯作惶恐之状，曰："
The emperor of the Han dynasty promised to marry the princess, so why should he cherish the two daughters of the people? You said, you don't know, De Qiao is the wife of General Sun Bofu, and Xiao Qiao is Yu's wife." Kong Ming pretended to be frightened and said,
"量实不知，失口乱言，死罪！死罪！"瑜曰："吾与老贼势不两立。"孔明曰："事须三思，免致后悔。"瑜曰："吾承伯符寄托。"
Liang Shi didn't know that uttering nonsense is a capital crime. A capital crime. You said, "I and the old thief swear to be incompatible." Kong Ming said, "You must think twice before you regret anything." You said, "I accept the trust of Bofu."
"安有屈身降操之理，是来所言，故相视耳。吾自离鄱阳湖，便有北伐之心，虽刀斧加头，不益其志也。望孔明助一臂之力，同破曹贼。"孔明曰："
There is a principle of bending one's body and lowering one's body, so I put it to the test. Ever since I left Poyang Lake, I have had the intention of the northern expedition. Even though I have a sword and an axe to add to my head, it will not change my ambition. I hope Kong Ming will lend a helping hand to defeat the Chao thieves together." Kong Ming said,
"若蒙不弃院校，犬马之劳，早晚拱听驱策。"瑜曰："来日入见主公，便宜起兵。"孔明与鲁肃辞出，相别而去。次日清晨，孙权升堂。
"If you are willing to do the hard work of dogs and horses, I will listen to your instructions sooner or later. Yu said, I will see my lord the next day and we will discuss raising troops. Kongming and Lu Su said goodbye and left. Early the next morning, Sun Quan went to court.
左边文官张昭、顾雍等30余人，右边武官程普、黄盖等30余人，衣冠济济，剑佩锵锵，分班侍立。少顷，周瑜入见。礼毕，孙权问魏霸、瑜曰：
On the left are civil servants Zhang Zhao, Gu Yong, and more than 30 people. On the right are military attaches Qing Pu and Huang Gai and more than 30 people. They are well dressed, with swords, and they stand in separate classes. After a while, Zhou Yu came in. After the ceremony, Sun Quan offered his condolences, and Yu said,
晋闻曹操引兵屯汉上，持书至此，主公尊意若何？权即取檄文与周瑜看。瑜看毕，笑曰：“老贼以我江东无人，敢如此相侮也。”权曰：
I recently heard that Cao Cao led troops to garrison the Han dynasty and sent a letter to this place. What do you think of it, my lord? Quan immediately took the letter and showed it to Zhou Yu. After Yu looked at it, he laughed and said, The old thief thinks that there is no one in the east of the Yangtze River, so he dares to insult you like this. Quan said,
君之意若何？瑜曰：主公曾与众文武商议否？权曰：连日议此事，有劝我降者，有劝我战者，吾意未定，故请公瑾一决。瑜曰：
What is your intention? You said, Have your lord discussed it with all the civil and military officials? Quan said, We have been discussing this matter for days. Some advised me to surrender, and some advised me to fight. I am undecided, so I asked Gong Jin to decide. You said,
谁劝主公降？权曰：张子布等皆主其意。瑜即问张昭曰：愿闻先生所以主将之意。昭曰：曹操挟天子而争四方，动以朝廷为名。
Whoever advised the Lord to surrender his power said, Zhang Zibu and others all have their own ideas. You immediately asked Zhang Zhao, I would like to hear Sir's intention of surrendering. Zhao said, Cao Cao took the emperor and conquered all directions, using the name of the imperial court.
晋又得荆州威势越大，吴江东可以拒操者，长江耳。今操蒙冲战舰，何止千百？水陆并进，何可当之？不如且降，更图后继。瑜曰：
Recently, Jingzhou has become more powerful. Those who can refuse to operate in the east of my river are the ears of the Yangtze River. There are more than 1,000 warships in operation today. How can we do this when water and land advance simultaneously? It's better to surrender and plan more later. You said.
"此于儒之论也，江东自开国以来，经历3世，安忍一旦废弃。权曰：若此，即将安戳？余曰：操虽托名汉相，实为汉贼。"
This pedantic Confucianism has been discussed since the founding of Jiangdong in the past 3 generations. Once Anren is abandoned? Quan said, if this is the case, how will the plan be implemented? You said, although Chao pretends to be a Han prime minister, he is actually a traitor to the Han dynasty.
"将军以神武雄才仗父兄余业，具有江东，兵精粮足，正当横行天下，为国家除残去暴，奈何降贼也？且操今此来，多犯兵家之计，北土未平。"
The general relied on his father and brother's leftover career with his extraordinary martial prowess and occupied the east of the Yangtze River. He had well-equipped soldiers and sufficient food supplies. He was now roaming the world, eradicating the cruelty and violence of the country. How could he subjugate the thieves? Now that I have come here, I have often violated the taboos of military strategists. The northern land is not at peace.
"马腾韩遂为其后患，而操久于南征，一计也。北军部署水战，操舍鞍马，仗舟楫，与东吴争衡，2计也。又时值隆冬盛寒，马无稿草，3计也。"
Ma Tengen and Han Sui were troubled later, and they had been fighting for a long time in the southern expedition, which was a taboo. The northern army was not familiar with water warfare, so they were riding saddle horses and using boats and rafts to compete with the eastern Wu dynasty, which was a taboo. Also, it was the middle of winter and cold, and there were no horses. Ligusticum Chinensis, 3 taboos.
"取中国士卒远涉江湖，不服水土，多生疾病，4计也。操兵犯此数计，虽多必败。将军秦操正在今日，余请得精兵数万人，进屯夏口。"
The Chinese soldiers were driven far into rivers and lakes. They were not acclimated to the soil and water, and were prone to diseases, which were the 4 taboos. If the troops violate these taboos, they will be defeated even if there are many. The general captured Chao today. You invited tens of thousands of elite soldiers to garrison Shako.
"韦将军破之权，决然起曰：老贼欲废汉，自立久矣，所据2员，吕布、刘表与孤耳。今数雄已灭，唯孤尚存。孤与老贼， 势不两立，轻言当罚。
Wei General broke Ji Quan and said, "The old thief has wanted to destroy the Han dynasty and stand on his own for a long time. He is afraid of Yuan, Lu Bu, Lu Biao, and Gu. Now several heroes have been destroyed, but Gu is still alive. Gu and the old thief swear not to die. Liang Li, your words should be attacked."
甚何孤意，此天以轻受我也。语曰：臣为将军决一血战，万死不辞。只恐将军狐疑不定，权拔佩剑，砍面前奏案一角曰：
It is very suitable for me to be granted this gift by you. You said, "I will fight a bloody battle for the general, and I will not give up even if I die." I'm just afraid that the general will be suspicious. Quan drew his sword and struck a corner of the memorial table in front of him, saying,
诸官将有在言，降操者与此案同。言罢，便将此剑赐周瑜，即封瑜为大都督，程普为副都督，鲁肃为赞军校尉。如文武官将有不听号令者，
Officials will say that those who surrender to Chao will be the same as this case. After saying this, he gave the sword to Zhou Yu, and made you the governor-general, Qing Pu the deputy governor-general, and Lu Su the captain of Zhangjuan. For example, if some civil and military officers do not obey orders,
即以此见诸之余受了剑，对众言曰：吾奉主公之命，率众破曹。诸将官吏来日聚于江畔行营听令，如迟误者，依期禁令54斩施行。言罢，
immediately after he received the sword, Yu, who had been executed with the sword, said to the crowd, "I have been ordered by the Lord to lead the crowd to defeat Cao Cao. All generals and officials will camp by the river the next day to listen to orders. If there is any delay, he will be punished according to the 7 prohibitions and 50 for cuts are executed."
辞了孙权，起身出府，众文武各无言而散。周瑜回到下处，便请孔明议事。孔明至，瑜曰：今日府下公议已定，愿求破曹良策。孔明曰：
Sun Quan resigned and left the house. All the civil and military personnel dispersed without saying a word. When Zhou Yu returned to his lower place, he asked Kong Ming to discuss matters. Kong Ming arrives. You said, "Today, the government has decided to discuss it, and I would like to seek a solution to Cao Cao's good strategy." Kong Ming said,
孙将军心尚未稳，不可以决策也。瑜曰：何谓心不稳？孔明曰：心怯曹兵之多，怀寡不敌众之意。 将军能以军术开解，使其了然无疑。
General Sun's heart is not yet stable and he cannot make decisions. You asked, what does it mean to be unstable? Kong Ming said, the heart is timid because of the large number of soldiers.
然后大事可成于曰：先生之论甚善。乃复入见孙权。权曰：公瑾业至，必有事故。余曰：来日调拨军马，主公心有疑否？
Then the important thing can be accomplished. You said, Sir's theory is very good. Then he went back to see Sun Quan. Quan said, when Gong Jin arrives at night, something will happen. You said, do you have any doubts about the deployment of troops and horses in the future?
权曰：但有曹操兵多寡不敌众耳。他无所疑。余笑曰：余特为此来开解主公。主公因见操檄文，沿水陆大军100万，故怀疑惧，不复料其虚实。
Quan said, but I'm worried that Cao Cao's troops are outnumbered by everyone. He has no doubts. You smiled and said, you came to explain to the Lord for this reason. The Lord saw Cao Cao's letter and said that he would have millions of troops on land and water, so he was suspicious and fearful, so he didn't know anything about it. Virtual reality.
今以实教之，彼将中国之兵不过15、16万，且以9匹，所得袁氏之众亦只7、8万耳，尚多怀疑未服。夫以9匹之卒，遇狐疑之众，其数虽多。
Now, compared with the actual situation, the Chinese army they commanded only amounted to 150,000 to 60,000 soldiers, and they have been exhausted for a long time. The Yuan clan's army they obtained only amounted to 70,000 to 80,000 ears, and there are still many doubts that have not been subdued. The husband used his long-tired soldiers to defend against the suspicious crowd. Although there were many of them,
不足畏也余得5万兵，自足破之。愿主公勿以为虑。权抚于背曰：公瑾此言，足是无疑。子不无谋，身失孤望，独卿及子敬，与孤同心耳。
if you don't have enough fear, you can defeat it by yourself with 50,000 soldiers. Please don't worry, my lord. Quan Fuyu said to his back, Gong Jin's words are enough to clear up my doubts. Zibu has no plan and is deeply disappointed in Gu's hope. Du Qing and Zijing share the same heart and ears with Gu.
卿可于子敬城濮，即日选军前进。孤当续发人马，多载资粮，为卿后应。卿前军倘不如意，便还旧孤。孤当亲与操贼决战，更无他意。周瑜谢出。
Your Majesty, you and your son, Qingpu, can select an army and march forward today. I will continue to send out men and horses, carry more supplies, and serve as a response to your queen. If your former army is unsatisfactory, you will be left alone. There is no doubt about the decisive battle between a lone relative and a traitor. Zhou Yu thanked him.
暗存曰：孔明早已料着吴侯之心，其计划又高我一头，久必为江东之患，不如杀之。乃令人连夜请鲁肃入帐，言欲杀孔明之事。肃曰：不可。
He secretly thought, Kong Ming has already anticipated Wu Hou's intentions. His plan is one step ahead of mine. He will surely be a trouble to Jiangdong for a long time, so it would be better to kill him. So he asked Lu Su to come in overnight and talk about his intention to kill Kong Ming. Su said, no.
今操贼未破先杀贤士，是自去其助也。余曰：此人助刘备，必为江东之患。肃曰：诸葛瑾乃其亲兄，可令招此人同是东吴，岂不妙哉？
Today, if you kill the wise men before the thieves are defeated, you will be depriving yourself of their help. You said, if this person helps Liu Bei, he will definitely cause trouble to Jiangdong. Su said, Zhuge Jin is his brother. Wouldn't it be wonderful to recruit him to work with Su Chao?
余善其言，次日平明，余复行营，升中军帐高坐，左右立刀斧手，聚集文官武将听令。原来程普年长于余，今余决居其上，心中不乐。
Yu was good at his words. The next day at Pingming, Yu went to the camp and sat high in the military tent. There were swordsmen and axes on the left and right, and civilian and military generals gathered to listen to orders. It turns out that Qingpu is older than Yu, but now that Yu is the superior, he feels unhappy.
是日乃托病不出，令长子承资自带。余令众将曰：王法无亲，诸军各守乃职。方今曹操弄权，甚于董卓，求天子于许昌，屯暴兵于境上。
That day, because he was ill, he ordered his eldest son Qingzi to take his place. You ordered the generals to say, the king has no relatives, and all the kings have their own duties. Now Cao Cao wields power even more than Dong Zhuo, imprisoning the emperor in Xuchang, and stationing violent troops in the territory.
吾今奉命讨之，诸军幸皆努力向前。大军到处，不得扰民，赏劳罚罪，并不训纵。令毕，即差韩当、黄盖为前部先锋，领本部战船，即日起行。
I am now ordered to challenge all the gentlemen who will work hard to move forward. The army is everywhere and must not disturb the people. Rewarding labor and punishing crimes is not indulgent. After the order was completed, Han Dang and Huang Gai were sent as the vanguard to lead the warships of the headquarters and set off immediately.
前至三江口下寨，别停将令，蒋钦、周泰为第二队，凌统、潘璋为第三队，太史慈、吕蒙为第四队，陆逊、董袭为第五队，吕范。
Go to Sanjianka Shezhai and don't listen to the general's orders. Jiang Qin and Zhou Tai are the second team. Ling Tong and Pan Zhang are the third team. Taisher Xiai and Lu Meng are the fourth team. Lu Sun and Dong Shi are the fifth team. Lu Fan.
朱志为四方巡警使，催督六郡官军，水陆并进，克期取其。调拨已毕，诸将各自收拾船只军器起行。程咨回见傅成甫，说周瑜调兵，动之有法。
Zhu Ji served as the patrol envoy from all directions and supervised the officers and soldiers of the 6 counties. They advanced by land and water to capture all the troops. After the allocation was completed, the generals packed up their ships and weapons and set off. Qingzi went back to see his father Qingpu and said that Zhou Yu mobilized his troops according to the law.
普大惊曰：“吾素七州郎懦弱，不足为将。今能如此，真将才也。我如何不服？”遂亲诣行营谢罪，余亦训谢。次日，余请诸葛瑾，谓曰：
Puda was shocked and said, I have always bullied Zhou Lang for being cowardly and not worthy of being a general. But now that I can do this, I am a true general. How can I refuse to accept it? Then he personally went to Xingyin to apologize. You also thanked him. The next day, you invited Zhuge Jin and said,
令弟孔明有王佐之才，如何屈身事刘备？今幸至江东，玉凡先生不惜齿牙舆论，使令弟弃刘备而事东吴，则主公既得良辅，而先生兄弟又得相见。
How can my brother Kong Ming dedicate himself to serving Liu Bei when he is so talented as a king's assistant? Fortunately, I am now in Jiangdong. If you want to annoy me, I will not hesitate to talk about it, so that my brother abandons Liu Bei and goes to Suqiao. Then my lord will have a good assistant, and my brothers will meet each other again.
岂不美哉先生性急易行。瑾曰：瑾自至江东，愧无寸功。今都督有命，敢不效力？及时上马，径投一亭来见孔明。孔明接入，哭拜。
Isn't it wonderful that Mr. Wang is so lucky to be on this trip? Jin said, Jin came to Jiangdong, and he felt ashamed that he had no merit. Now the commander-in-chief has an order, so I dare not disobey him. Immediately mount the horse and go to the post pavilion to see Kong Ming. Kong Ming comes in, cries and worships.
各肃括请谨泣曰：“帝之伯夷，叔其乎？”孔明暗思，此毕州郎叫来说我也。遂答曰：“夷，其古之圣贤也。”谨曰：“夷。”
Jin wept and said, "Do you know Boi and Shu Qi?" Kong Ming thought to himself, "This must be the disciple of Zhou Lang who came to me." Then he replied, "I am the sage of Yi and Qi in ancient times." Jin said, "Yi."
其虽至饿死首阳山下兄弟二人亦在一处。我今与你同胞共辱，乃各事其主，不能旦暮相聚。是以其之为人，能无愧乎？孔明曰：“兄所言者。”
Although Qi starved to death, the two brothers were also at the foot of Shouyang Mountain. Now I share the same breasts with your compatriots, but we are each doing his own thing, and we cannot get together day and night. Is it possible to view the barbarians and the Qi people as human beings without any shame? Kong Ming said, "What brother said?"
请野地所守者，义也。帝与兄皆汉人，今刘皇叔乃汉室之胄，兄若能去东吴，而与帝同是刘皇叔，则尚不愧为汉臣，而骨肉又得相聚。
Love is what the younger brother protects, and righteousness is also there. My brother and I are both Han Chinese. Today, Uncle Lu Huang is a member of the Han dynasty. If my brother can go to Suqiao and work with his younger brother, Uncle Lu, he will be worthy of being a minister of the Han dynasty, and his flesh and blood will be reunited.
此情义两全之策，也不识兄意以为何如？谨思曰：我来说他，反被他说了我也。遂无言回答，起身辞去。回见周瑜，细述孔明之言。瑜曰：
Why is this strategy of balancing love and justice without understanding the brother's intention? Jinsi said, I came to speak to him, but he came to speak to me instead. Then he had no words to answer and stood up to resign. He met Zhou Yu later and elaborated on what Kong Ming said. Yu said,
「公亦若何瑾曰：吾受孙将军厚恩，安肯相背？瑜曰：公既忠心事主，不必多言。吾自有服孔明之计，正是智与智逢一必合。
General Will, He Jin said, I have received great kindness from General's son, and I am willing to go against it. You said, since I am loyal to my master, there is no need to say more. I have my own plan to defeat Kong Ming. It's exactly wisdom and wisdom must be combined when appropriate.
才和才角又难容，毕竟周瑜定何计服孔明，且看下回分解。第45回三江口，曹操折兵群应会蒋干中计，却说周瑜闻诸葛瑾之言，转恨孔明。
It's difficult to tolerate talent and talent. After all, Zhou Yu decided to plot against Kong Ming. Let's see how it will be explained next time. Chapter 45. Cao Cao defeated his troops and met with Jiang Qian at Sanjiankou, but he said Zhou Yu turned to hate Kong Ming after hearing what Zhuge Jin said.
存心预谋杀之。次日，点其军将入辞孙权。权曰：“卿先行，孤即起兵继后。”于此初，与程普、鲁肃领兵起行，便邀孔明同住。孔明欣然从之。
The day after he deliberately planned to murder, he ordered all the generals to bid farewell to Sun Quan. Quan said, "You will go first, and I will raise troops to follow." Yu resigned and set off with Qing Pu and Lu Su, leading the troops, and invited Kong Ming to stay with him. Kong Ming happily followed it.
一同登舟，架起帆墙，以里望下口而进。离三江口5、60里，船依次第歇定。周瑜在中央下寨，岸上依西山结营，周围屯驻。
We boarded the boat together, raised the sail, and meandered toward Xiakou. 50 or 60 miles away from Sanjiankou, the boats stopped one after another. Zhou Yu set up camp in the center, set up camp on the bank near the western mountains, and settled around.
孔明只在一叶小舟内安身，周瑜分拨已定，使人请孔明议事。孔明至中军帐，叙礼毕，曰：“昔曹操兵少，袁绍兵多，而操反胜绍者。”
Kong Ming only settled in a small boat. Zhou Yu's allocation had been decided and people invited Kong Ming to discuss matters. When Kong Ming arrived at the Zhongjuan tent and finished the ceremony, Yu said, "In the past, Cao Cao had few soldiers and Yuan Shao had many. However, Cao defeated Shao.
“因用许攸之谋，先断乌巢之粮也。今操兵83万，我兵只5、6万，安能拒之？亦必须先断操之粮，然后可破。我已探知操军粮草，俱屯于巨铁山。”
Because Su Yu's plan was used to cut off the food supply of Wuchao first. Today we have 830,000 troops, but we only have 50,000 or 60,000 troops. How can we resist them? It is also necessary to cut off the food of Chao first, and then it can be broken. I have found out that all the food and fodder for the army are stationed in Judishan.
先生久居汉上，熟知地理。敢烦先生与关张子龙备无意驻兵1000人，星夜往据铁山，断操粮道。彼此各为主人之事，幸勿推掉。孔明暗思。
He has lived in Han Dynasty for a long time and is familiar with geography. Mr. Daffin, Guan, Zhang, Zilong, and I also assisted thousands of troops to go to Jitishan to cut off the food road at night. Each of us is the master of each other's affairs, so please don't push them around. Kong Ming thought to himself.
"此因说我不动设计害我，我若推掉，必为所笑。不如应之，别有计议。乃欣然领诺。于大喜。孔明辞出。鲁肃密谓于曰：公使孔明节粮。
That's why I say that I won't do anything to harm me. If I make suggestions, I will be laughed at. It's better to respond and have other plans. He happily accepted the promise. Yu was overjoyed. Kong Ming resigned. Lu Sumi said to Yu, the minister Kong Ming robbed the grain.
"是何意见？"于曰："吾欲杀孔明，恐惹人笑，故借曹操之手杀之，以绝后患耳。"肃闻言，乃往见孔明，看他知也不知。只见孔明略无难色。
Why did you say, I want to kill Kong Ming for fear of making people laugh, so I borrow Cao Cao's hand to kill him to prevent future troubles? After hearing this, Su went to see Kong Ming to see if he knew it or not. I saw that Kong Ming had no trouble at all.
"整点军马，要行速不忍，以言挑之曰：先生此去可成功否？"孔明笑曰："无水战、不战、马战、车战，各尽其妙，何愁功绩不成？"
When the army and horses were in full swing, they couldn't bear to move, so they challenged him with words. Sir, will you be successful here? Kong Ming said with a smile, I fight on water, on foot, on horseback, and on chariots. We all do our best, so why worry about failure?
"非比江东公与周郎被指，异能也。"肃曰："吾与公瑾何谓异能？"孔明曰："吾闻江南小儿谣言云，福禄把关饶子敬，临江水战有周郎。"
It is not like Jiang Donggong and Zhou Lang who are only one capable. Yi Su said, What do Gong Jin and I mean? Kong Ming said, I heard a rumor from a child in the south of the Yangtze River. Rao Zijing is the guard of the road, and there is Zhou Lang in the river battle.
"公等于陆地，但能扶路把关；周公瑾但堪水战，不能陆战耳。"肃乃以此言告知周瑜。瑜怒曰："何欺我不能陆战也？不用他去。"
Gong Ji is on land, but he can ambush the road to guard the enemy. Zhou Gongjin can only fight on water, but he cannot fight on land. Su Nai told Zhou Yu this. Yu said angrily, "Why do you think I can't fight on land?" No need for him to go.
我自引10000马军往据铁山段操粮道，素又将此言告孔明。孔明笑曰：“公瑾令吾断粮者，实欲使曹操杀吾耳。吾故以片言戏之。”
I led an army of 10,000 cavalry to Judi Mountain to cut off Cao Cao's food supply. Su told Kongming this again. Kongming said with a smile, "Gongjin ordered me to cut off food supply, but he really wanted Cao Cao to kill my ear. So I used a few words to play with it."